Hi everybody, it's Kisan here with Drone U. In today's video, we're gonna talk about the top 5 things when flying Cinewhoop. Some of the benefits of flying Cinewhoop. It's a really high skilled thing to do, but it grosses a lot of profit. Another thing is it's a really good different take when actually marketing a property, such as real estate, maybe in business. It showcases the experience, the excitement of what's going on, the attraction. So 5 topics we're gonna go over today is knowing your location. The reason why that is key is because when you're on set and you're getting ready to do your cool cinematic fly through, you need to know what's going on. The second thing we're gonna talk about are your camera settings, right? What type of settings am I using? Am I using 160, 125th, 130th? Am I using D-Log, which is a flat color profile where you can bring the colors back in post? Or I'm just gonna go ahead and rock with the regular profile because I may not be good at editing or I may not have the budget to actually hire that out. The other thing we're gonna talk about are the drones you're supposed to use. Am I using a 3-inch, a 2.5-inch, a 75mm drone? Or maybe I'm using a 3-inch that has softer ducts on the side. So if I happen to run into something, I'm not completely causing damage while on set. Another one is what settings? Am I using acro? Am I using angle? Am I using horizon mode? I don't know. I'm new at this. I may not be as skilled, so I don't know what settings to use. Another one we're gonna talk about is the actual fly-through Cinewhoop shot in terms of what to expect and what should I do on set and how should I be able to maneuver and what should I do? And last, I think this is very important, talking about your emotions. If you don't have your emotions intact, the suit is gonna be disastrous after that. Let's talk about know your location and the reasons why this is important before you get started with your fly through Cinewhoop. The reason why that is important because you need to know your path in terms of, am I going to maneuver around this object? Am I gonna do a straight through shot like you see on some of these real estate videos? Or what am I gonna do? Am I gonna start outside of the property and are I gonna zip right in? That is very key and that's important because if you don't know your location and what you're getting yourself into, you can run into a lot of trouble when it's actual shoot time. Another thing that you need to talk about are the hidden objects, right? If you don't know what's hidden in that room or that area you're flying through, you can cause some serious damage in terms of crashing multiple times. So hidden objects could be an unnecessary chair, maybe hanging down piece of wire that you don't know about. So it's always best to know exactly your location and what you're getting yourself to when flying into. So that segues into doing a walkthrough before you actually do the fly through. The reason why this is important, because this is gonna save you time and money when you actually get ready to do your fly through. So knowing your location and doing a walkthrough is key. The reason why doing a walkthrough is key is because you're gonna your nerves are kind of fall down just a little bit, right? So when shoot day comes, you already know what to expect. Hey, I'm doing this flight path. I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna do this object. I'm gonna fly through this portion of the house, and then I'm gonna fly out of this portion of the house. I'm gonna go through this room. I'm only gonna showcase this part of the attraction of the house. So that's why it's key just to do a walkthrough because then you don't have to get ready. So if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And the last thing about knowing your location is practice, practice, practice. The reason why that's key is because you don't want to waste people's time and you don't want to waste your time. So I would encourage you, if you can get the opportunity to go to the location where you're doing your fly-whoop, Cinewhoop, and to be able to do a practice fly through, I promise you that will save you so much time and that actually will build your confidence on the actual shoot day. Now, let's talk about what equipment should I use? What Cinewhoop should I use? Or should I use drones in terms of DJI drone? So should I use a 3-inch drone, which is the size of the actual drone? Should I use a 2.5-inch drone, which is this one? Or should I use a 75mm drone, which is considered a tiny whoop drone that fits in the palm of my hand? So these are some really good questions that you have when doing your first fly through. So let's talk about using a 3-inch drone. The reason why a 3-inch drone would be good is because if you're going to do indoor and an outdoor fly through, this drone is better for both of those situations. But if you're looking to only do an indoor fly through, I would recommend using a 2.5-inch drone. And if you're like, hey, I just want to get a feel for things, let me see if this even for me, then I would recommend using a small 75mm drone, or better known as a Tiny Whoop. Another good question that comes up is, should I use a DJI Cinewhoop drone, such as the Avata that just came out, or should I use a non-DJI drone? That is a really good question. For me, I would tell you, depending on your skill set and depending on your budget. If you're new at flying Cinewhoop and you're like, I don't know what to do, I may not be as skilled doing a manual drone, then I would actually recommend using a DJI Avata. The reason why is because, for one, if you get in any trouble, you can quickly hit pause, not remote, and your drone just automatically stops. For two, if you happen to lose signal on the drone, the DJI Avata just happens to stop. And three, the durability of the drone. So if you happen just to hit an object, you may not have to worry about your drone just completely falling apart and being disabled for that particular shoot. And if you're like, okay, I have a little bit more skills in flying the DJI, then I would recommend using the 2.5-inch drone. The reason why this one for me is my personal favorite is because of its lightweight. It's sub 250 grams. And if you're doing a fly through that you need to fly over people, this is the one to go. Two, it has the cushions around it. So if you happen to hit an object, you're not completely damaging it. And three, you can fly through smaller gaps using this drone. So I would recommend using a 2.5-inch drone depending on your flight skills. So the next thing let's get into are your FPV goggles, right? So these are the ones that you put on so you can be able to fly around and do your cool little fly through shots. I would think about, depending on your budget, upgrading to some of the DJI HD goggles. The reason why is, for one, your image quality looks a lot better in the goggles than using some of the outdated goggles that are out there. And for two, be aware of your signals, right? Some of these drones work better with better goggles because of the signals and the antennas on the drone. And keep in mind that not all goggles bind with every single Cinewhoop, so just keep that in mind. And the way you can find that out is if you're in the process of making a purchase of buying your Cinewhoop drone, just make sure to scroll down to the details or the specifications to see if the drone that you're buying is compatible with the goggles that you plan to use for your Cinewhoop flying. Another thing we're gonna talk about is your co-pilots. The reason why this is important is because you need people on set to help you out when you're doing your fly-through video. You're like, what's the point? I thought it was just me just doing it. No, it's always best to have a help or assistant. The reason why is, for one, they can keep an eye on their drone. And for two, what happens if you need to get pushed around during your fly-through videos in order to maintain signal with your drone? So if you look at a lot of great Cinewhoop fly-through videos, a lot of them do have a behind the scenes, such as the Jaybird video, which you can go see on YouTube. They actually show some of the behind the scenes of how some of these fly-throughs are actually done. And 9 times out of 10, what you see is that he has an assistant with him at all given times. And what the assistant does is they're looking at the drone at all given times and making sure the pilot is comfortable on set when performing the fly-through. Because remember, at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable flying, you're gonna have a bad flight. And another thing are batteries, right? So I would encourage you to have multiple batteries on your actual shoot day. The reason why is because you have no idea how many takes you may end up doing, right? You may be there for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or even 4 hours. But if you're using a DJI Avata, then you're probably good with 3 batteries. And the reason why is because these batteries can last up to 12 to 16 minutes. And that is amazing. Versus using a Cinewhoop drone, using a 4S battery that maybe has a flight time of 4 to 10 minutes. So if you're more of a skilled pilot and you know what kind of shot you're looking for and you know what to get, then go ahead with the Cinewhoop drone. But if you're new in the industry and you're like, I don't know how many takes I'm gonna do, I don't know how long it's gonna take me, I don't know if I'm gonna crash into something, I don't know if I'm gonna lose GPS connection, my drone's gonna stop, then I would encourage you using your Avata for one of your first shoots. And another thing, it's always good to have extra set of batteries instead of just the right amount. So keep that in mind. The question I get all the time is, what camera settings should I use when doing my fly through Cinewhoop video? And the answer I have for you is automatic camera settings. The reason why is because if you're new at this, the last thing you need to do is have your camera mess up on you while you're flying, doing your fly through video. And another reason is if you're thinking about editing this video yourself, it makes it a little bit more easier to edit in post. Once you have your camera settings locked in, remember, automatic, I would suggest if you're new at flying indoor Cinewhoops is to keep the reel steady on. And the reason why is because in post, that's gonna help you edit your video a lot smoother, faster, and more efficient. But if you're like, hey, I've kind of used GoPro before and I plan on using a GoPro, then look into either using Reel Steady, Gyroflow, or if you're just good enough, maybe you can stabilize yourself in post. So another topic is modes. What modes do I use? Do I use angle mode, acro mode, horizon mode? I don't know what to do. So if you're new at flying Cinewhoops, and what you are, that's why you're watching this video, I would encourage you to use angle mode. The reason why is because you're gonna have a little bit more control over your drone when doing your fly through Cinewhoops. Versus acro mode is more of a higher level skill set. And if you're not good at flying Cinewhoop drones, I would encourage you to do angle mode. And remember, on shoot day, you're nervous, your fingers start shaking. That could be another reason why you should not use acro mode and keep it in angle mode. And question is, does it really matter if I use angle, horizon, or acro mode? The answer is no, because 9 times out of 10, the client is not gonna know what mode was used on set as long as they got the product that they hired you to do and get. So at the end of the day, it's up to you. But if you're new at flying Cinewhoop, I would stick to angle mode. Easier, safer, and it's less nerve-wracking. Now let's talk about the actual shot. So it's shot day. You know your location, you got your camera equipment, you know what kind of mode you're in, you know what kind of camera settings you have dialed in. So let's talk about the actual shot, right? A lot of Cinewhoop videos you see is that a lot of these drone pilots take unnecessary gaps. So basically they're flying through objects that they shouldn't be flying through. And the reason why, I think that honestly, that's more for your ego. Because when the client sees a video, they're not worried about, oh my gosh, he just flew through the faucet if it's a real estate video, or oh my gosh, he just flew through the pillar if you're doing an outside Cinewhoop shot. So I would say limit the amount of gaps you're flying through. Another thing is understand what the client is looking for, right? If your client is like, hey, I just want you to do a quick little fly through of this house. I want you to show the main level. I want you to show upstairs. I want you to show the backyard. And I want you to finish by showing the scenery of the entire house. Yeah, do that. And the reason why is because that will save you time on set. So if you know what the client is looking for, that's gonna make the shoot go a lot smoother, easier, and it calms everybody's nerves on set. Now we're gonna talk about the speed of the shot. So you have to understand that some of these Cinewhoop videos that you see, a lot of these pilots are just zipping by in these fly-throughs, and the timing is not there. But what I wanna tell you is slow down on set. It's not always about how fast you can do it. Remember, it's a Cinewhoop shot, which means it's cinematic. So slow it down. You didn't just need to be fast, be smooth and patient on the sticks. Wait for it, right? You don't need to be flying through and cruising and trying to get the shot as fast as possible, because remember, at the end of the day, the consumer is consuming the video, not you. So you wanna make it digestible for who is watching the video. So slow it down. Another question that comes up is, should I do a one take shot or should I do multiple shots? And the question I have for you is, as a pilot, How comfortable do you feel? If you're just new at this and getting into this, I would encourage you to do multiple shots. So that means is that you're flying your drone, you're stopping your drone, you're setting up at another location, you're flying your drone, you're stopping your drone, you're flying drone, you're stopping drone. And in post, you're gonna be able to merge all those images together to create one video that almost looks like a one-take shot. But the advantage of doing a one-take shot, it's seamless, it's more cinematic, it's very engaging to the viewers. So just keep that in mind. So it all depends on your skill set and how comfortable you feel. And if you're looking into doing a one-take shot, you need to ask yourself, am I using actors or am I using non-actors? So with actors, you got to keep in mind, the budget is bigger, you can run in a little bit more complications, and the timing has to be there. But the advantages of having actors on set is that it makes it more, like I said, cinematic, more digestible for the viewer, makes it more engaging, right? So if you're doing a one take with non-actors, that's completely fine too. But just keep in mind, it may not be as engaging or as visual aesthetic to the viewers. So it all depends, once again, what the client is looking for. I would encourage you to do 2 takes if you have the budget and you have the time to do it. Do it with actors and without actors. But just know, without actors, it's gonna save your pockets, right? It's gonna save time. But with actors, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive, but it'll make it more engaging and more visual appealing to the client and the person who is consuming their video. And this brings us to the last point on the actual shot day, is be aware of time, because time is money. Know what kind of shots you're getting, know who's involved in the shots, know what type of drone, and have your equipment ready to rock and roll. Because the last thing you need to do is waste your client's time and waste your time. I know we talked about the 5 points when doing a fly through using a Cinewhoop, but what I left out are your emotions. When you're on set, make sure you have a clear head. Make sure to take a deep breath. I know it can be nerve-wracking. I know you're gonna start getting shakes, but keep a clean, deep breath in and out with me. Remember, in and out. And also, stay focused. Don't get distracted by the outside distractions about the actors on set. There could be a dog on set. There could be a fire going on. Remember, you're focused. And last, have fun, for goodness sakes. Because remember, you're getting paid to fly a drone through a building. Not everybody gets to do that, right? So have fun. I know as a pilot, you're probably thinking, how much money can I make doing these fly through Cinewhoop tours? And the answer I have for you depends on your skill set. But I've heard of pilots making up to $7,500 doing these videos. So think about that. If this video intrigued you, or if you're like, hey, I wanna know more information about what I just listened today, stay tuned for the up and coming DroneU Cinewhoop class. And oh yeah, make sure, have fun, take flight, and continue to push yourself.